What's up, guys? We're back. We got a new video from TVP World, which is, I believe it's that Polish news station, but they've got a lot of cool content. It says Loot Brigade and Tsunami Unit in Action, Military Mind. It's a little 10-minute video, but they usually have some cool footage, and it's all pretty much very recent footage. So before we jump into it, there's two things I want to cover. First, who I am. My name is Saxon. I go by Vegas here in Ukraine. Joined the International Legion in January of 2023. I'm still in Ukraine. I'm no longer with the Legion. I'm with Azov International Battalion. We are recruiting. We are recruiting people who are already in Ukraine or on their way out to Ukraine. Please at least do your research about the units out here in Ukraine. If you don't want to join Azov, that's fine. Just join a solid one so you don't come out here, get put on the front line, and die. Okay? But if you are interested in Azov, hit us up. My direct email is linked below. Also, the website will be linked below in the description. With that said, I am specifically looking for some videographers. So if you're on your way out here and you have that skill set and you're willing to be in some dangerous areas, maybe you're an editor, anything regarding media, hit me up. Let me know in the email when we talk. Okay, now, last thing I wanted to cover, which is very important, is just a little thing called the Budapest Memorandum, okay? The Budapest Memorandum, long story short, it's a treaty that was signed. The treaty was technically called the Treaty of the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, NPT. Three nations signed it, the world's nuclear powers: United States, United Kingdom, and Russia. China and France gave somewhat weaker individual assurances, it says here, in separate documents. Anyways, the memoranda stated that it prohibited Russia, the United States, and the UK from threatening or using military force or economic coercion against Ukraine, Belarus, and Kazakhstan, except in self-defense. Okay? Right here in writing. It was signed on December 5th, 1994. This shows that in writing there was a treaty signed that if one of these three nations were attacked, that they would be supported by the world's nuclear powers. So Ukraine was attacked, full-scale invaded, February 24th of 2022. Okay? That directly violates this treaty. Russia should have been stomped the fuck out the second that happened. The United States and the United Kingdom should have been all hands on deck, boots on the ground, right inside Ukraine. Hey, this is the Budapest Memorandum we signed 2 decades ago. You cannot do this. Okay? Now, that's history. Obviously, the United States didn't do that. They provided supplies and financial assistance, same with the UK. But a lot of people are wondering why I no longer support Donald Trump and his position on Ukraine. Because of this, he is not backing up this treaty that was signed 2 decades ago. He has completely turned his back on Ukraine. That's why Ukrainians and people in Ukraine are upset with him. That's why a large percentage of Americans are upset with him, because it's right here. Okay? Yes, America first. I completely agree with that. But this right here in writing, if we don't stand up to our treaties, what are they even for? Right? Okay, that's it. Now we'll jump into this. Let's watch the Tsunami Brigade.
Hello, I'm Jonasz Rawiński and this is Military Mind. Armed conflicts, defense and security, land, sea and air. We've got you covered. Today marks exactly 3 years since Russian troops invaded Ukraine in the early morning hours of the 24th of February 2022. As Ukraine's key allies arrived in Kiev to mark the solemn anniversary, the Russian Defense Ministry announced that overnight air defense systems intercepted and destroyed 22 Ukrainian unmanned aerial vehicles. Now, as a result of this attack, in the Ryazan region, drone debris sparked a fire, at the grounds of a business enterprise, but without causing any casualties.
Hey, and for the record, just so you guys are aware, for some information that you may not have seen in the media, currently I'm in Kyiv. I'm in the capital of Ukraine. Yesterday was the third anniversary of the full-scale invasion, what he's talking about, and there was a bunch of European diplomats and people from their governments here in Kyiv discussing how to help Ukraine. Okay, they shut down the entire square. The area that I'm currently staying was all shut down. The streets were shut down, police everywhere, because of all these important people were in town. Okay, now Russia knows that all these European leaders are here in Ukraine, right? Yesterday we had 3 or 4 air raids. They sent drones, they sent high altitude drones, they sent ballistic missiles. Now, to me, that doesn't scream that Russia wants peace. Because if any of those hit, that very well could have completely annihilated one of these buildings or one of these conferences that these political leaders were in. Okay? Just something that you're probably not going to see on mainstream media, but I wanted you to know that.
Local Telegram channels citing eyewitnesses are saying that drones struck an oil refinery in the area where the fire started. In the 3 years of fighting in Ukraine, both sides have suffered staggering losses, with independent sources confirmed by journalists claiming that Moscow lost over 450,000 people in the conflict. Experts note that these figures are much higher than the official numbers released by Russian authorities. Moscow very rarely discloses information about losses, and the latest official figures were made public back in the fall of 2022, putting the number at around 6,000 dead. According to investigators, most of the casualties are made up of mobilized recruits and fighters from private military companies. The high casualty rates have been confirmed both by satellite images of mass graves and reports on significant increases in payments to the families of the dead. Ukrainian officials also claim that Russian forces are suffering tremendous losses in their attempts to hold or advance on the front line, especially in the Donetsk and Zaporizhia regions. Moving on to the front line now, since the beginning of the war, Russia advanced from the north, east and south, rapidly seizing vast areas of Ukrainian territory. But in November 2022, Kyiv's troops regained control of the city of Kherson and the right bank part of the Kherson region. In September that same year, Ukraine...
This is one of the reasons I like watching TVP World's content, is because they give these real nice kind of breakdowns and map descriptions of some of the most recent conflicts.
Ukrainian forces conducted a successful counteroffensive in the Kharkiv region, liberating more than 8,800 square kilometers of territory and about 300 settlements. In August 2024, Ukraine launched a significant incursion into Russia's Kursk region, marking a notable escalation in the conflict. This offensive saw Ukrainian forces advancing approximately 10 kilometers into Russian territory, seizing control over an estimated 250 square kilometers of land. And the Donetsk region, for Ukrainian troops, has become the most difficult part of the front. Seizing cities one by one, the Russians are getting closer to Pokrovsk, which will help them hold on to the Donetsk region in the near future. Now we open today's episode with footage showing precision at its finest. 2 direct mortar strikes landing right in the middle of a Russian unit. The hit is the work of Brigada Rubisz and Sila Swobody, whose firepower left the Russians no room to flee. The clip captures the moment when the mortars hit their mark, leaving enemy forces in disarray. A special dedication is inscribed on the shells, a message delivered with explosive accuracy.
Працюємо по москалям і посилаємо їм наш такий подарочок.
I had so I actually just responded to a comment in that I saw on one of my YouTube videos, and it said, "This guy laughing or showing and laughing about people dying," or some stupid shit like that. And my response is abso-fucking-lutely. Okay? Don't invade another country and you won't receive that kind of treatment. The same way I know probably more than 80% of you would act if America was invaded and you saw that same video we just watched, but of the enemy of America that was in American land. The same way that you would feel is how we feel watching this shit right here. Okay, so there's your answer. Abso-fucking-lutely.
By the way, inscriptions on missiles and other projectiles. This was a thing from the beginning of the war. You can actually pay to have your dedication inscribed on such a projectile, and the proceeds would go to charity towards helping Ukraine defend itself. A very interesting initiative indeed. And now for a fiery welcome for the occupiers. Ukraine's FPV trio strikes again in the Kharkiv region, slicing through Russian anti-drone defenses with deadly precision. This piece of footage captures the destruction of 4 BMPs, 4 tanks, and a truck, all meticulously tracked and eliminated. The battlefield belongs to those who strike first and strike hard. See the raw power of Ukraine's drone warfare in action, leaving no piece of Russian armor safe. And as you may remember, drone warfare has also evolved tremendously. Back in the early days of the war, it was the Bayraktar that was making the headlines. Who actually remembers that one? It has been relegated to reconnaissance missions now because it is too large, too easy to intercept, and FPV drones have taken its place. Now, moving on, and in this clip coming up, you'll be able to see a team of Ukrainian soldiers carry out an attack near Novotroitsk in the Donetsk region.
We just a little side note before he moves on here. I know we've been talking about in multiple videos how we've seen the ordnance from, or the explosive payloads from these FPVs have gotten so much bigger throughout this the duration of this war, right? At first it was like a little puff of smoke. It would pop, puff off of the tank, and now it's like a fucking tactical nuke on that bitch. I was able to see recently some of the ordnance that they attach to these drones, and it is like it's the real deal, dude. It's like large ballistic missiles basically, but a lot of them are like 3D printed, so they're extremely lightweight. It's sweet, man. But now it makes more sense in my head why these explosions are so big.
Eliminating Russian positions in close quarters combat. The operation takes place in intense urban and trench warfare conditions, where every move could mean the difference between life and death. See the footage from this high-risk mission, showcasing the skill and determination of Ukrainian fighters as they push through enemy-held territory. Victory is won, one battle at a time. And we close out with footage captured.
It's interesting how you can see the progression of the trenches that both Ukrainians and the Russians have made throughout this war. And you can also see when they have more time to build these fortifications, they look a lot nicer. And so at one point, I believe that this was probably a nicer trench system. It looks deep. It's got the wood support panels, right? They've even got this berm up here. So this was probably a nice defensive position. It looks mostly abandoned at this point for whatever reason. There's a lot of burn marks. I'm sure they just got shelled to shit or something. But it's interesting to see the different kinds of trenches. And we've seen some that are like 2 feet deep, you know? And they like hunch over and move through them like that because they're probably hasty trenches. They dug them quickly.
2024. And we close out with footage captured in Toretsk in August of 2024 and showing Ukrainian assault units from the Lyut Brigade and the Tsunami unit preparing for intense urban combat. As they advance through the city streets, they engage in heavy firefights, taking cover in residential buildings and suppressing enemy positions with automatic fire. This footage captures the chaos and intensity of modern warfare in the Donetsk region, where every block and every floor becomes a battlefield.
Всем куку нахуй, ебать. Турецкое направление, запомните такими. Хаю-хайна. Счастливые лица, на. Счастливые лица, на. Счастливые.
Счастливые, да?
Счастливые.
Remember how they said they would take Kiev in 3 days? 3 years later, Kiev still stands, Ukraine still fights, and the Ukrainian army continues to adapt and impress everyone with their resilience and determination.
You know what's funny is how much Russia denies ever saying that they would be in Kiev in 3 days. So much so that the Russian propaganda has spread to Westerners, and I see it in our comment section here. Anytime I bring up the 3 days to Kiev statement that Putin said, I get people in the comments like, that actually never happened. He didn't say that. He said that. Shut the fuck up.
Ukrainians are the kind of ally you want to have on your side. Washington, are you listening? And with this, we conclude this edition of Military Mind.
Washington, are you listening? All right, I won't get any more political on you. I already kind of ranted at the beginning. So do me a favor, like, share, subscribe. Help me blow this channel up, you guys, please. If you have any media capabilities, training, experience, and you're on your way out to Ukraine, hit me up. Videographers, hit me up. Photographers, hit me up. Emails linked below. Also, our website, direct website's linked below. I love you guys. We'll see you in the next video.